Welcome. This is the Hot Real Estate Investing Podcast, a podcast dedicated to helping others through real estate investing. Our hosts interview guests from all aspects of real estate investing who generously share valuable experiences and advice. Whether you're starting out or an experienced investor, this is the show for you.
Hello, and how's it going? Welcome to the Hot Real Estate Investing Podcast, where we focus on the mindset, motivation, and methodologies of successful real estate investors. My name is Travis Shelton, and today we're going to do something a little bit different than what we've done on the show in the past. I wanted to give you all an opportunity to join my real estate meetup. I've been doing a real estate investing meetup since 2017, bringing together a network of like-minded individuals to talk about real estate deals, to talk about some educational opportunities, and just talk about the current market. And so what we're going to do here periodically on the Hot Real Estate Investing Podcast is I'm going to share with you what we do at our meetup. So today, you're going to be able to hear and see a recent meetup that I had with two guests. One is Landon Moore, who you guys have seen on the podcast a couple of times. The second is Dr. Brian Eby. And so what's really powerful about this particular meetup, or both of these individuals are people that regularly and routinely attend my Phoenix real estate investing meetup, but they didn't really know each other. And what happened is this is really stresses the power of networking and in your team. So Brian had reached out to me, found a pretty good deal. He thought that he could take down subject to, but he didn't know really the nuances to it. He didn't know how to close the deal. He didn't know about certain things. And I knew Landon Moore, who was really an expert in subject to and being able to do some of these deals. And so I basically just connected them and let them hash it out, right? That's what we do here with the Helping Others Through Real Estate Investing podcast, and also Helping Others Through Real Estate Investing, just my business, right? We're always trying to help one another out. So really all the network and all the meetup is about is to be able to connect people, to be able to build your team. And so this really stresses the power of that network, right? This stresses why you should be getting out there and going to meetups. If you're in the Phoenix area, please come attend. They're free. The Hot Real Estate Investing Meetup is usually the first or second Tuesday of every single month. We're having them right now at the Mini Social. It's in Old Town Scottsdale. If you happen to be listening to this particular one, the next one's June 4th, Tuesday, June 4th. Come out. If you can't make this one, then what I want you to do is go ahead and check out the Facebook page or the HOTREI website, and you'll be able to check out all our future events, okay? If you guys are in the Phoenix market, I'd love to meet you in person. I'd love for you guys to come out to a meetup. And if you're a real estate investor, I'd love to have you on the podcast or maybe even a speaker at the Hot Real Estate Investing Meetup. All right, guys. Hope you enjoy.
Okay, well, yeah. So Travis did a great introduction. It's probably more than I deserve. My name's Brian Eby. I'm an ER doctor. I basically look like this. I did this all day, looking like George Clooney. Except for no white coat, because I get full of germs and nasty. I only wear Patagonia. And then, that's the house I bought. And so I'm going to tell you guys about this. And so, just how I found my way into real estate, I started reading Brandon Turner's book about, investing in real estate when I was in residency. And I was like, oh, this makes way more sense than what I'm doing. But here I am in the middle of residency, just kind of like, get through the goalposts, and then I have more earning potential, more W-2s so I can buy homes. And so this is kind of how it felt like in healthcare, kind of the whole way, from the bottom until now. And that's how real estate has an opportunity to basically hedge against, medicine just getting worse and worse and worse. And so, when I started looking for this deal, the thing about me is I had a lot of options. And so what I really wanted this year was to try to flip a couple houses. And so I was looking, I kind of niched down on what I wanted, like a 3-2 with an ARV of like 550 or less afterwards. And so I was looking through the MLS at these like fix-up needs repairs. But I also had this other thing where like I'm always ready to buy a new primary residence. And I also was trying to talk my in-laws into coming down into Arizona all the way from Wisconsin. And so I guess I was looking for a few different things. And I stumbled on this house over in Glendale. And it's, you can see the garage doors dinged in. It's not a perfect house. If you're on the MLS, it says fix up, needs repair. And so the great thing about this is it had like all this stuff already done to it. The roof is new, the HVAC was new, the water heater was new. But they were in a rough situation. Basically, one of the spouses had dementia, gave away all their money, just got scammed. And so, like when I talked to the realtor, like she was giving them money to my dog food. And so they had to get out of this house. And the problem was they listed this house for like $425, and the investors are like doing their comps, and it's not worth $425. And so I went and looked at this house. And so I started talking to her some more, and I tried to figure out my budget, my comps, my everything. I'm an idiot, so I'm trying to like budget in my idiot factor, the stupid tax of doing your flip when you're not super experienced. And she's saying her investors are offering $370, but the buyer needs $390. And so I was just doing a lot of mental math in my head of like, what could I possibly do here? And it really wasn't gonna work. And I just was like, I'm gonna put this loan on it. And so the house, I looked on PropStream, and it had a refinanced loan 2 years ago. And by my math, that means the rates were really freaking low. And so I read this book by Pace. I made analysis by paralysis guide, or paralysis by analysis. I can't make my mind up. Anyways, I read this book and I didn't do anything about it. But I saw this opportunity here where it's like, oh man, maybe I can buy this sub 2. And so I asked her about this, and she was open to it. She'd actually done a sub 2 deal before with her daughter. And so it's not something that like her broker was super fond of, but it was an opportunity to give her buyers more money than anyone else could give them. And so just like Travis said, I said, hey Travis, like, I think I can get this done. The agent's open to it, the buyer's open to it, but I don't know the logistics of it. And like the thing Pace is very specific about in this book is that there's a lot of ways to mess this up. Maybe there's only a few ways, but if you mess up the insurance, if you mess up the title things, like if you mess it up, it's done so. And then the buyer or me, or the seller or me would be in doo-doo. And so I reached out to Landon. Landon pointed me towards Travis. Travis pointed me towards Landon. We got on the phone, like as I'm at work, we just bang out like a quick agreement together at like 7 in the morning, and then we just got to work. And so we drove to San Diego. I talked to the agent. While in San Diego, like Travis or Landon and I and their agent talked together, and then we did the same thing again with the seller and with the sellers and their agent and Landon. And people don't feel super comfortable with this all the time. So you have to talk them through it. And they're like, what about this? What about that? And this was where I really knew I didn't have the logistics to be like, oh, this is how it's going to happen. This is how this will be taken care of. And so Landon just like crushed it with that expertise. He does this like 4 times a month, maybe more. And so he was able to walk them through like exactly how it makes sense with the right analogies, with the right assurances. And he has got the team built out to handle these transactions. And so basically I'm in San Diego, we reached an agreement, that's me, celebrating my 2%, 2.25% interest rate. And so this deal is like kind of a banger. There's like so many ways when you're looking at a house that's got a rate that low. The monthly payment is like under $1,500. And so like rents over there would be like 21 to 23, maybe even more. I don't have a pad split expert somewhere. Anyways, so this is Landon, and so he starts talking to me. He's like he's a genius with this, and he talks about all the ways that we could get out of this property. So how can we make money? His option one was like, we can wholesale this. Just take the cash now, Brian. I've got investors. We can just mark it up, sell it. This is a great deal for anybody. You could wholesale this and like you can basically wrap these loans. There's a lot of ways that you can wrap things. Landon probably knows a lot more, and I'm not gonna go into it because I'm not the expert. But you can wrap these and essentially add like 1% or 2% and then get passive cash flow after that. You could renovate it, rent it out, get a HELOC out on basically the equity that I have in there, because I did have to bring a lot of money to buy this house, like $90,000. Rent by the room, short-term rental, renovate it and sell it on a wrap, where basically I would be taking another payment on top of the mortgage payment that someone is doing. There were just so many ways. And I also went back to like worst case scenario. I'm an idiot. It takes me forever to flip it. Like the holding costs for this are $1,500 a month, almost nothing. Versus for hard money, it would be like $3,000 a month, plus maybe a point or two at the front. And so it just seemed like I couldn't lose until I found this way, where I renovate it, and I sell it for no profit to my family. And so that's what I did. So we did get my mother-in-law, right while we're under contract for this, my mother-in-law got a job, she signed a contract, she got a start date, they showed up, we closed on the house, renovated the floors, they spent 3 very, very long days in my house, and then they got into that house. And so just thinking about this as like a retail buyer, like now I want one of these as my new primary. And so if, $90,000 down is what I paid, and a purchase price of $390, and today's like 7% interest rates, like that's what the payment should be, $2,260. And then if you factor in like what an investor loan looks like, where it's a couple percent higher, like $2,600. And so we're sitting there like under $1,500 for PITI. And so this is basically $1,000 a month in our pocket that we're not spending. They're not spending. And I'm actually, Landon, I'm going to take credit for this. I call this the free childcare wrap. And so, my previous budget was $150 a month in like date nights, just for the babysitter. And so now that's free. And so I get free date nights. Landon got a little bit paid. The transaction coordinator got paid. The real estate agent got paid. The sellers got what they needed money-wise. And I got this childcare. So honestly, people pay $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 just for like the education on like how to do these deals. And so what I walked away with was like just the confidence to know how to do this, talk about it, and probably call Landon again. But I don't know. I thought it was a great deal for everybody because I don't think they would have done better what we were able to give them.
I'm going to ask Landon to come up, and he's going to add a little bit to the story, I believe. And then if you guys have any questions, these guys are all yours to ask any kind of questions. We'll have a Q&A for you.
I like that. One thing that was really cool that never got brought up, but like early on with this deal, is in one of the phone calls we found out that the sellers were physically writing checks and mailing checks in to pay their mortgage payments. I found that interesting, and like they were old, like you said, old. And there was also things that they needed to pay. So like those were the motivating factors for them to sell, and the home just wasn't selling because they needed to repair and sell those things. And it was great that the agent was savvy on wraps. Subject 2 is a wrap, if anyone's curious. I'm actually curious, does Navy Title, will you guys do wraps and sub 2s?
Yes.
Awesome. All loan types? FHA, VA, conventional?
I have to double check on that, we're pretty sure we do.
Okay, cool, just curious. And so it was interesting hearing all that. So when we had the conversation, like, I forget, when we had that call when I was in California, what were some of their objections when we spoke with them?
Their biggest concern was like, what about the insurance and how is this loan going to get?
How is it going to get, like, physically, how is it going to get paid? Because they've been writing checks, so they don't know that you can set up auto pay, or all like legitimately. And then how you transfer insurance. And so that's what's cool is that 4 or 5 years ago, I met Travis. I went to his meetup. That was my very first venture into real estate. I was so nervous going to a meetup to meet people. And then now, fast forward 6 years, 5 years, whatever, maybe 5 years or so, him and I are collaborating on this deal to help out you to get something for your in-laws or a rental or whatever it may be. And then now Travis and I are in escrow for another deal right now out in Litchfield Park. Pretty cool. But the biggest thing that I wanted to just simply add on is just that. It's just the community, the integral pieces that we use. Like, everyone won on this deal. The sellers got exactly what they wanted in the deal in terms of how much money they needed. The agent got paid actually out of the money that I guess you brought, but it was out of how much the sellers were going to get technically.
Yeah, I think you do a lot of these deals where it's like net to seller.
I made a net.
Pay the agent on top. Their commission was like in the price, and so that was
interesting. Did you pay closing costs? I think you did.
some of them,
Yeah, not all of them. You split them. That's right. We did all that. So for us, we primarily, in the majority of our deals, all pay the agent's commission. All pay all the closing costs and taxes associated with that, so that sellers aren't bringing cash to the table in typical circumstances. But in terms of the community, that's what's beautiful is that everyone won on that deal. He gets a property for himself at 2.25% now for his in-laws, but he could have done anything with that property, And so not only did your in-laws win, your wife won, you won, the agent won, she got paid, hey, sellers moved on with their lives, they removed that burden from their life that is now gone. I helped you, which is fulfilling for me. I did get a JV fee with you to take you through that, of course, and whatnot. And then Daniela, Daniela, my transaction coordinator for all of my deals, she assisted with that. So now you have a transaction coordinator for any more of these moving forward. You can always call me for just like, hey, what do you think about this property or whatever it may be, whatnot. But you've done one now, and now you're going to do multiple and your primary home and whatnot. Yeah. That's pretty cool. But like, what's really cool about it too is that community that we're talking about is in this room right now. It's not just online or on the Facebooks or whatever. Every resource you need is sitting in the room. Evita right there is a transaction coordinator. She can help manage these exact deals right here for you tomorrow and do it start to finish, right? The two behind them are lenders. They will lend on the deal and bring money for deals. We're doing deals with them actively right now on deals. And so Angela, private money lender sitting right there, that will lend on deals for you if you don't have any money, if you care about the deal. Donna, you guys do tons of fixed closes, cool stuff like that. Like the people are in the room that you guys need to be networking with. That's how I got started, that's how I met Travis, that's how I meet all these different people doing things and to collaborate together. And a lot of people too come to my meetup here in Arizona on Thursday evenings to do a lot of exactly what I'm talking about that Brian and I just did. And so it's all about just networking and meeting these people and what you're doing. So that's all I really want to share is just that. But yeah, you guys can ask tons of questions if you guys want.
And what questions do you guys have? Anyone interested in doing one of these type of deals? Go ahead.
So you say you did sub 2 deal. How did you negotiate or structure that with the seller? Did you have to give it to the top of their mortgage? You were giving it to the seller? Every time you owned it?
So my deal, we came out a lot. We just paid them their equity up front. And so what they wanted was cash. I know there's a lot of people that will like format a deal, so it's like, this is like your fee, you're going to bring them right away, and then they might have a wrap or a payment that you're going to add on top of the seller finance portion that you're paying. Mine was like all the cash and then they're done. And so part of the frame was they came to sell this like on the market originally, so they already figured like they're going to pay their agent out of their proceeds. They're going to pay some of their closing fees, their portion of taxes.
Seller concessions.
Yeah, like they kind of figured all that stuff was in the deal versus, if you were going direct to seller or something, you'd probably be like, this is your price, I'm going to pay everything on top of that.
Travis, what are you normally seeing? I always use 8%.
I mean, between commissions and closing costs and just, other points and things, I think 8% is a good general rule of thumb.
So like you look at a list price, any property until right now, take 8% off the top, so multiply it by 0.92, and that's what net the seller's going to get, and then they pay off their mortgage. So whatever's left over is net in their pocket what they're receive as their equity. They're not getting list price $550. This list price is not what they're getting. They're getting 8% less than that, right? And so that right there is a negotiating point. Right there is like realizing you're willing to come in, and in a lot of these circumstances too, we'll come in and we'll pay the $550 and we'll pay the agent's commission to incentivize it for them to give them net more money in their pocket in a lot of these transactions. Like right now, here's a little story. Like I'm in escrow. I close next week on a property up in Vancouver, Washington, where we're giving the sellers $1,000 and the agent's getting $11,000 on the deal, and then we're paying the Washington excise tax and closing costs on the deal. And so the seller's not bringing anything. They're getting $1,000. They're going through a divorce right now. But on that one's just a straight subject too. So we're just literally taking over the payments. Whereas a previous deal I did 2 months ago was what we would call a hybrid deal, where the home price was $500,000, let's say nominally, and she had a mortgage balance of $200,000. That leaves, equity of $300,000. We gave her $30,000 down payment, so 10% on her equity. The remaining $270,000 we put as a second mortgage against the home. So now that's where you would have two payments. You have your mortgage payment for $2,000, and you have a seller finance payment for $1,000 every month into her bank account at an interest rate. And we match the interest rate of her mortgage, which is like 2.175 or something like that. And so it's like super low, and that property's renting for like, I think $3,950 or $3,975 or something like that. So that would be a hybrid deal. Does that answer your question?
Thank you.
Cool.
And you can't find any of these deals on MLS, right?
All of them.
All of them on MLS.
Well, not all of them. Like, I mean, there's tons out there that are obviously off market, right?
Yeah.
But I would say 80% of all of our deals, I've done now over 45 of these in the past last 14 months, and 85% of them have been on-market properties that are available to all of you. The rest of them, this is what I'm going to touch on too, is really based on relationships. So like even with Travis right here, and that property in Vancouver I'm in escrow for, the agent, I built enough rapport, I established a relationship and credibility that she brought the deal and opportunity to me. That's not being advertised to you. It's for me to decide yay or nay if I want it or not, to put an offer in. And that's all about building relationships with guys like Travis and being a friend to your agents in the room. Because they'll bring you opportunities that they can't sell traditionally on the market because the home needs a lot more repairs than what, and they owe a lot. Like that home we're buying up there, they owe $475, and I think it's worth $500 on the market. But they have a gangster interest rate. And so for us, it makes sense. We come in super low entry, and then we're going to turn it into a sober living, an all-women sober living home, and make $4,500, $4,700 a month in terms of cash flow. So like these are versatile, these allow you the opportunity to diversify not only your assets in terms of what you're doing, but get in. Like I think our all-in entry on that property would be $50,000, and I'm not bringing a single dollar to it because I have like an Angela Wayne, who's a private money lender, who will bring that money on the deal to cover my entry fee. So these people are in the room that you need to talk to because they'll fund your deals, they'll find your deals, my team will find you deals, bring you deals, you can buy our deals, or if you have a deal that you need closed, our team will close your deals. So like everything is a part of this community, and that's what it's all about.
Other questions you guys got?
Who has more objections, the agent or the seller?
Agent by far.
Okay.
They're the gatekeeper. And the objections are more fear-based, that they just don't know. And so when you don't know, what do you immediately do? No. Operate in fear. We get red agents all the time that are just like, you can't do that. It's impossible. It's illegal. All of those, all the time. So the agent by far. Because the sellers are, some of them aren't, but some are naive. They just don't know, and the agent is acting as the fiduciary to represent them and guide them in the process. Is this okay? Can I do this? Will this protect me? But what about if I want to go buy another home? And if the agent can overcome that with them, and that's why I always set up three-way phone calls. Like Travis and I did one, it was a 40-minute phone call here last 2 weeks ago or whatever it was, with the sellers, Travis and me. And so.
I got two investors. We've done about 5-6 deals together, and they bought a house a couple years ago. They're kind of in a bad situation. It's lost some value over the last year. They've literally been in it like only a year. Not a great interest rate, about 6%. If they sold it, they took out a $25,000 401k loan, knowing that if we sold it for top asking price, which we weren't going to get, that they would put $25,000 just to get rid of the property. So I'm like, this is a terrible situation. I'm trying to talk them out of it, and it's like, you got to be a fiduciary to these people. These are people I know, like, trust. I've done 5 deals with them. I know their kids, like, I love these people, right? I'm like, I want to take care of them. I'm like, this is not a good situation. I'm like, let me talk to my buddy Landon. Let me see what we can do. Let me see if there's another option out there. So we hashed it out. We talked through it. I really didn't even think we'd be able to get it done. I thought Landon was like, dude, this deal's gonna not work out. But ultimately, right now we're in escrow. These people are paying $0 out of pocket. They're actually getting $1,000 to close. Okay, I'm getting less of a commission than I would have, but I told them I was going to list the house for basically free, basically my agency fees, just because I wanted to not take money from their pocket. But instead, we worked out a win-win that Landon's going to get paid, I'm going to get a little bit, they're getting money, and they're not going to touch that 401k loan, and they're actually going to be able to go and buy another property here probably within the next 6 months to year and continue on their real estate investing journey. So it really, I think a lot of times these get, bad press sometimes if you don't know, because to Landon's point, every agent out there that hasn't done one of these, their first objection is, no, you can't do that. And to Landon's point, he said earlier, it's a wrap. Wraps have been around forever. Back in the 80s, everyone was doing wraps, but now it's like this new concept. So, and to Landon's credit, this isn't a hard pressure sell. It was like, sleep on it, think about it, take the weekend. We sent a contract, they're like, do we have to sign by 5 o'clock Friday? I'm like, you can have it through the weekend, it doesn't even matter. We want to help you out if it works for you guys, and this is the best thing for you. They did their due diligence, they looked up a bunch of questions, we got on another phone call with them, we answered some of their questions. They felt totally fine with it. They're like, how fast can we close? Now they're just like, how fast can I buy another property? So these can be really big, nice win-wins for everyone, and it's not only the really, really low interest rates. Sometimes people just need a way out. And, you know, I feel really confident and comfortable with those people not writing a $25,000, $35,000 check just to sell their house.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so the situations are out there daily. Like we're in escrow with that one, obviously, but we're in escrow for 7 other properties right now, all with their own stories, with people like you guys who need to help solve a problem that they have in front of them. I can tell you stories on stories. Like, we closed one a month and a half ago in Tacoma, Washington. 3-bed, 2.5-bath. That through on market. I actually think I posted the video of that conversation on my YouTube to just how that conversation went. And the seller was VA loan, GSVA entitlements that she used, 2.75% interest rate. And the original terms when we got the property under contract was we were going to give the seller, I think, $12,000, agent $10,000, and then we were assigning that property to an end buyer in the area, so wholesaling it to an end buyer, and our assignment fee was going to be $11,000. They're going to pay $30,000 for a $500,000 home or $50,000 home at a 3% interest rate, whatever it was. And we got to January 5th and found out that the title company couldn't close a subject to loan because it was a VA loan. That's why I asked that question, because some can't. And so we had to move title companies. And in doing so, over the next week, up in the Northwest, you guys will know this, they went through a massive cold spell. We did around that time period here, but nothing like up there. Like my Airbnb up in Montana was at negative 36 at one point. Like it was cold. And the home's vacant. She had moved to Georgia with her family by then. And over that weekend, the entire house froze. Pipes, like toilet water, frozen. Furnace broke, and the pipes froze. Now we have an issue, because when that happens, the pipes burst when you turn the water back on and it warms back up, traction and whatnot. And so now we have a $13,000 repipe of the entire house because of this, and a $6,500 furnace that has to be replaced. So now nickels and dimes are adding up. Cash to sellers now gone. Agent's commission now. This call is online. You guys can watch me negotiate with the agent from a, whatever I said, $10,000, $11,000 down to a $1,000 flat fee. Not a fun phone call. And I didn't want to have it. I didn't want that whole situation to happen. And then got past that, and then the seller found out her husband left her right when they got to Georgia with their new one. And then a day before close, her cell phone got shut off, so we couldn't get a hold of her for signing documents for closings. Like people are living these lives, and it's just, we ended up paying her cell phone bill for her to get her a phone, to get in touch with her, and to get her back on her feet. But what did we do? We removed this burden from her. She was already 3 months behind on her payments, so we reinstated the loan. We removed the burden from her over her head that she's in a different state completely. She has a frozen house, right? So we dipped out. What retail buyer's going to buy that with no equity? They have to repipe the house, they have to refurnish the house. They don't have time, and they're 3 months behind on the payments or 2 months behind or something. Like we are her only option. And there's tons of sellers out there that are in these situations. And so, at the end of it, she won because we reinstated her loan. We're taking over the payments, which does what? Improves her credit. And then also, too, she doesn't have a foreclosure on her record, which kills it for 10+ years. And then also, when you get foreclosed on with a VA loan, you lose your entitlement to the rest of your life. Now she has her VA entitlements here in the future when she wants to buy a home again. So this is where creative finance is the win in terms of certain situations. Sometimes it's a square peg for a round hole, but in some instances it can be a saving grace for someone in their life. She was so grateful that we came into her life. So these options and these opportunities are out there, and this is just sitting on the market for you guys to talk and find. It's like right now, I literally, on my dining room table, I have 2 quitclaim deeds sitting there right now that I'm deeding my property that I'm living in right now into one of my LLCs and a different property into a different LLC. That is theoretically all we're doing in these types of transactions. In a sense, not a quitclaim, we're doing a true warranty deed, but principally it's the same. But so agents are more concerned about that than the sellers are in 95% of the cases, you know. But the solution for that, and this gets into the weeds, I don't want to firehouse you guys' information, is to purchase the property on what's called in Arizona, an agreement for sale, or a land contract, or a contract for deed is what most people hear it as. That's where the title transfers to my entity, my LLC, Flower LKM, or whatever my LLC is for that property. But that deed is not recorded at the county. It just sits in a lockbox in my lockbox area or whatever. appraisal list, and he signs the title over to you. You now own that property, but you still haven't gone to the DMV yet. Same concept there. You own that property. That property is yours. You can rent it. You can take tax benefits, depreciation from that property, everything. You own it. The mortgage just stays in place. You just don't record the deed. And so the lender's not notified of that change. Yeah.
So how do you record the deed?
There's multiple times you can, depending on the circumstance. You would record the deed if you refinance it, let's say, if you sell the property, or in some instances we'll do contract for deeds, or the bigger umbrella is called executory contracts. We'll use those when we're purchasing homes with an FHA loan to prevent, because most of those have down payment assistance, and so you can't take over down payment assistance step 2. And so we'll buy it as a contract for deed until the down payment assistance falls off, and then that'll immediately go step 2, the property will turn over to your entity or whatever. But that's all fire reserve mentioned. You guys don't need to know that. That's just overwhelming a lot. But if you ever get to that point, call me. But
Do you ever have issues selling it, or is it because you haven't recorded the deed, or because with the title and everything, you're not going to have the title searches?
yeah, so you go through standard title escrow. You go to title searches, personal identity searches. We hire an attorney. They have in-house attorney. That's a big deal. Vita and I locked eyes when that happens. We know how much value that is. Because if there's no in-house attorney, we will hire a third-party attorney to draft up what's called an all-inclusive deed of trust and a promissory note to formalize the transaction and everything. So when you say sell it, do you mean like wholesale it?
However you're going to sell it.
Okay.
I'm just asking.
Oh,
if
yeah.
there's gonna be any-
Gotcha. No, yeah, no issues whatsoever. Because you're going to open up title and escrow. It's the same principle is the same. Because they don't care that the debt is in Andrew's name and the deed's in my name. The deed's going to transfer. The only people that care is them, not you. You know what I mean? They're just going to see that and go, okay, cool, wrap, done. And you're just paying off this note. You know, that's all they care about. There's a debt, there's a lien against the property, a deed of trust against the property. They're just paying that off if you're refinancing or selling it or whatever you're doing. Yeah. What else? You guys are quiet.
Can I add something to the dual sale clause?
Sure.
And just get your opinion as well. So you guys are targeting agents, but I do think buyers can be concerned as well. So think about it like they're the ones sitting here hearing about it, or somebody hears just enough. And I think that might be something you have to navigate or think about yourself. Is the dual sale clause possible? Yes. Are there remedies? Yes. But nothing is factual. It's just a higher risk situation, which with these sellers, a lot of times it's their only option. And for you as an investor, if you can help them out, it might be a good option. But that's why it's important to kind of assess where they're at and assess where you're at and make sure that it's an appropriate choice and you're okay with that risk level.
Yeah, I mean, I had a friend, they had the dual sale clause called on them a month ago out in Tennessee. And they purchased it sub 2. Rather, he put it under contract and wholesaled it and assigned it to St. Brian sub 2, right? And the dual sale clause was called. And so what they ended up doing is deeding the property back into the seller's name to appease the lender and repurchasing it as a contract for deed or an agreement for sale in Arizona. So that's your way around the dual sale clause. And it appeases the lender, everyone's happy. How we do it?
Cool, all right, let's get it.
All right. Well, I hope you all enjoyed that hot real estate investing meetup content and education. If you guys are in the Phoenix market or happen to travel out here, would love to have you guys attend a hot real estate investing meetup in the future. We love to bring together real estate investors from around the country and around the Phoenix metro to be able to connect with other investors and be able to share value with one another. If you guys get a chance, check out my website or the Hot Real Estate Investing Facebook page for future events, and look forward to meeting you in the future. Peace.
Thank you for listening to the Hot Real Estate Investing Podcast. Check out our website, hotrei.com, for additional content and resources. And please take a moment to subscribe and leave a review so we can continue to bring even more value to others through real estate investing.